And now we've got Nick Stuart, who's standing for the Liberal Democrats in Isle of Wight West.
Good afternoon, Carol, and you're correct, it is the Isle of Wight West I'm standing for.
I got it wrong earlier with another one.
Yeah, well, I live here, so yeah, I've got a rough idea where I'm supposed to be standing.
And how's it going?
I'm enjoying it. That's simply it. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying meeting a lot of people on the doorstep. I'm enjoying meeting some of the candidates. And it's nice to actually get out and sort of talk about the important things that matter to people.
I'm intrigued by I enjoyed meeting some of the candidates.
All of the candidates, of course.
Slip of the tongue.
No, I have spoken to all the candidates and they all have something to offer. I may not agree entirely, or at all, but they do have something to offer and they are there for the right reasons. They are all trying to do it for what I would call the public good.
Why do you want to be an MP?
Very simply because I think I finally get to know what I can do. I have the confidence now to do the things that I've always done, but on a larger scale. I was a national civil servant and I'm quite happy being a national politician, focused really on the sort of issues that face the island.
So you've done the other side of the Yes Minister routine, have you?
As I keep saying, I wish they hadn't released our training videos.
So you're enjoying it, but what's the response been like on the doors?
As you would expect from Isle of Wight people, pretty good.
Yeah.
They're polite, they're reasonable, they have their questions, and one guy kept me on the doorstep for 20 minutes yesterday because he had so many ideas, but the thing is actually some of those ideas were quite reasonable, sensible, and that's part of it. I'm only one person, I have a small team behind me, but talking to hundreds of people on the doorstep, you get a lot stronger feel of what's really worrying people and also what the expertise is out there.
Yeah. Some of your passions, your political passions, because you're currently an Isle of Wight councillor, aren't you? The Military Road comes to mind.
Yes, the Military Road would come to mind because I was elected 18 months ago. I've been talking about it for a long time and then I really took hold of it. And it was a developing towards a serious campaign. So we sort of did all of the background, I did all of the background stuff, and then it was a question of having public meetings, and then it suddenly exploded because there was a Facebook group set up, which was nothing to do with me, but I was able to sort of tap into that and build on that, and it's quite clear what we can do, and it's quite clear what we can't do. The council don't have 25-30 million, which they need to move the Military Road. And you look at it and you just go, as I said, right at the beginning to one of the media outlets, one of the national TV people, it's ridiculous to see such an iconic road, one of the sort of top 5 in the UK, falling into the sea. It's not a good look for global Britain. So it was partly that, and it was partly the effect on the locals, partly the effect on all the people who travel along it. So I wanted to do something, and really it's a question of sort of grabbing hold of all of the different people, understanding where they're coming from. Everybody on the island seems to be quite keen to keep it. All the organisations do. And it's just a question of persuading government that they should support it. The current government, which will shortly be out of office come 4th of July completely, basically have turned around and say, no, naff off, you're not having any money, and by the way, you've had loads of money for something else. They keep inventing different reasons why we can't have money. And they're the government, they can say that. It would be nice if we'd had a bit more of a push beforehand for something to happen. But I'm doing it now and I will carry on doing it. Whatever happens on the 4th of July, I don't stop being councillor, I don't stop pushing.
Oh, so you'll be an MP and a councillor?
Well, obviously on the 5th of July, if I was elected, I would be both. What would happen after that, I don't know. I would have to take advice and make decisions. I would hate not to be a councillor in my ward, because it's a fantastic place.
So what else has been coming up on the doorstep? What other issues are people raising with you?
Small and large. Everything from the drain down the road, which is important, to the people who it affects, to the National Health Service, and we've all talked about that, to the environmental issues, sort of protecting the landscape we've got, but also enhancing it, making things better. So there's a lot of those sort of things going on. And of course, one of the key things around that is sewage. I mean, my party's been banging on about that for ages. The government, the soon-to-be previous government, seem to be in pockets of corporate people far too much. And so it's a question of actually grabbing hold of that and introducing proper regulation.
So if you've said a couple of times that, the soon to be previous government, so you're taking notice of the polls, which would make this a Labour seat.
No, I'm not taking notice of those.
Right.
And for two reasons. One, because they are both based on a false premise. 2019, I personally was stood down by our strange approach by our central party, and that was fine. So everything is based around the fact that we weren't here in 2019. But the silly thing is, of course, there have only been in the last 100 years 2 types of MPs, blue or us. So I would say that we were poorly done by 2019, and perhaps 2024 is our time.
So if you were the MP for the Isle of Wight, there would for Isle of Wight West. Every year you get the chance to put your name in a members' ballot, ballot for a private members' bill, which means you can introduce a new law, but it doesn't have to cost anything. So what would you do if you came out top in the ballot? What law would have the Nick Stuart name attached to it?
One of the critical things about this is that I know it from the other side, and I know what MPs put forward. I've seen some of these sort of interesting single bills. It's really going to be about my main interests, the environmental interests, the island interests in terms of the ferries, the NHS interests, where they impact on the island. So the answer is, this is the critical thing about MPs, you can only do it if you work with other people. So I would work with the people who draft bills, and I've met them before over the insolvency bill. I would talk to people in my party, obviously, because they have the knowledge and expertise. I would talk to, the sort of the groups outside the government, the sort of people who will provide lots of information and will be pushing particular things. So the answer is, I'm not absolutely certain at the moment, but it would be around the sort of priorities that I've always had.
Would you talk to islanders?
Those priorities wouldn't be there unless I had talked to islanders. I always talk to islanders. People will know that I talk too much, but I do listen as well.
Is there anything you disagree with the Liberal Democrats on? The national policies?
Well, strange enough, there's a 135-page manifesto out there, and of course everybody around here has read every single page and paragraph and single word. There's very little there that I would take issue with. Manifestos are always a sort of, a marker in the sand. I have my particular interests, as I've mentioned, and there are things that I would really be very interested in driving forward. I have a particular interest in biodiversity, for instance, and the 3 critical things that face us are pollution, resources, and biodiversity. Those are the 3 things, and climate is under pollution, strange enough, and so those are all key things that we need to do something about.
Yeah, have you had anything funny, amusing, strange happen to you on the campaign trail?
Well, the funniest thing, luckily no, because that would normally mean I bumped into a tree or run over something. I haven't run over anything.
Just to be clear.
Yeah. Basically, because my wife would kill me if I killed anything else. The funniest thing as a councillor was realising I had responsibility in some way for everywhere in that ward. So if I come into the ward and I see something, I deal with it. I see a herd of pigs on the middle road, so I herd them across the road. They're enormous great things, these large brown slightly hairy things. But everybody, like normal as you'd expect on the Isle of Wight, all stopped quite courteously and let me do it.
Yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to say to people who are thinking of voting for you, or the ones that are converted, or the ones that would never vote for you? Any message you'd like to give them?
Well, the first thing is that I am only too aware from my previous history that you serve everybody as best you can with the priorities that you have. So there will be people who disagree with me on some things. Interestingly enough, on the council I run a committee. That committee consists of several people from several different parties. I make sure that we speak as one voice because most of the people on the island share most of the issues and most of the concerns that we have.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I hope you enjoy the rest of the campaign and good luck.
Thank you.
See you on the 4th of July if I don't see you before.
Okay, thank you very much.